I'm pretty sure most people remember the time period when every single young adult novel was being turned into a movie. You had popular ones like Twilight, which I think was about vampires smelling people. And then there's also the one where you're trapped in a maze and have to run around for a little bit. It seemed like that no matter how good the book was, or if anyone even cared, some studio executive in Hollywood saw dollar signs and opportunity. Even though this trend eventually died down, some studios were a little behind on the memo. Studios like Netflix, and them wanting to adapt the book Uglies from 2005. A story that would have perfectly fit with the other garbage of the late 2000s and early 2010s, but instead we got it in 2024, about 15 years too late. So without further stalling, allow me to destroy some of your brain cells as we go over the movie Uglies. The movie opens with a history lesson on the world. Sometime in the past, humans fucked up so hard that they ran out of resources and then killed each other over all the remaining resources, pretty much ending the world. The people in the future call them Rusties, and in order to save humanity, a group of scientists created a special flower that solved all the world's problems except one. Everyone is super ugly. So on your 16th birthday, you get an operation that makes you perfect, thus ending all the conflicts of the world. And if you're immediately thinking, wow, that is a really dumb premise. Oh, just you wait. It only somehow gets dumber. After the little history lesson intro, we meet our main character, Tally, as she uses TikTok filters in the mirror to make herself look pretty. Her best friend is a guy named Paris, and the two of them use these glasses that allow them to zoom all the way across the water through a window and get up nice and close on the people that are partying in this big city. It's also weird that this tech is crazy advanced, but it's never brought up or utilized ever again. Paris is getting the surgery that makes you super hot, so he makes an agreement with Tally that in 1 month he'll meet her on the bridge and tell her everything about the city. 1 month goes by and Paris doesn't show up at the bridge. So instead, Tally decides to sneak into the city to try to find him. When she gets into the city, she luckily finds a mask that gives her a disguise to hide her hideous face. And the thing that happens next makes me think this movie was partially written by AI. So far, we know Tally and Paris used to stare at this giant mansion in the city, the one that is super tall and very recognizable. Well, when Tally is wandering around the city, we get this moment.
Excuse me, do you know where Garbo Mansion is?
It's right there.
I cannot see, I'm legally blind.
It was quite literally right in front of you. How did you not see this giant fucking building? Spoiler alert, later on you find out the surgery also makes you dumb. Well, good news, Tally. You've been halfway to your surgery this entire time, you dumbass. Tally finds Paris, and he gives her the cold shoulder, so she has to escape using this thing called a bungee jacket. A jacket that bounces you before you hit the ground? Why are there bungee jackets just sitting out in this mansion? How does she not die from this height while falling? Why am I watching this movie? These are all great questions. On her way back to the Ugly Camp, a girl named Shay rescues Tally from a warden on her sick hoverboard, kicking off a montage of Tally learning how to ride one. And throughout all of these scenes, characters keep hinting at this place called The Smoke. The Smoke is a place where nobody has the hot surgery and everyone is their true, authentic, ugly self, and everyone is happy because of it. Oh, and at one point, Shay eats a cupcake like an absolute madman. Who the fuck eats a cupcake like this? Like, you got all icing and no cupcake. What the fuck are you doing? Then we see that Shay designs hoverboard tracks in her free time, and you can just throw the hologram and the track appears. One thing leads to another, and Shay goes with a guy named David to go to the Smoke, but she gives Tally directions in case Tally decides she wants to come. But up until this point, all Tally wants is the surgery. I'm not kidding. Like, she literally doesn't shut the fuck up about it. The next day, Tally is told her surgery isn't going to happen, forcing her to go to the smoke so she can bring Shay back. We all know that the evil Lady Cable is using Tally to destroy the smoke and force everyone to be pretty and dumb. But like I said, Tally's also a little dumb, even before the surgery. So she doesn't realize that Cable is very obviously lying to her. Shay also put her directions in riddle form, and Tally's whole journey to the smoke is so dumb and cringy. Uglies cannot decide on the vibe it wants to carry throughout this story. Sometimes it feels a little more comedic, other times it feels a lot like a young adult dystopian world, but most of the time it's trying to take itself serious and it just doesn't work. Tally sleeps in a field of flowers and she's woken up by smoke from the whole thing being on fire. Is that why they call it the smoke? Because in order to find it, you have to lay down in a field of flowers and wait for the smoke to almost kill you in your sleep? The guy David swoops in to save her, and even though he admits that everything about Tally showing up is super suspicious, he just trusts her anyways. The smoke people have an old chopper that they rig with a flamethrower, and while David explains what the flowers actually do, they go full apocalypse now on the plants. And all you need to know about the flowers at this point is that they're not a good thing, and I'm going to elaborate more on that later. While they're flamethrowing the flowers, this one guy says that he sees two people in the field, so David decides to lower the chopper and investigate, resulting in Shay getting knocked out of the helicopter. The vibe continues to be all over the place when we get this weird dramatic moment of Tally leaping out of the helicopter to save her while the scouts run through the smoke. And in the end, all Tally does is throw a bag at one of them that they pretty easily shrug off.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way.
David later tells everyone that they stopped the scouts, but no, you didn't. All you did was fly away, and they probably followed you. They probably know where you're at right now. Tally, on the other hand, spends some time in the smoke, goofing and joking until David brings her to meet his parents. Turns out they ran away from Cable so they could work on a cure that would fix the part of the brain that makes you dumb after you get the surgery. And that's their plan to save the world. To save everyone from their pretty stupid selves. Although, if everybody got the surgery and the cure only fixes the brain part, everyone would still be hot. So everyone would be hot and smart.
I see this as an absolute win.
David and Tally kiss in this super weird scene where he talks about how she's pretty, even though she thinks she's ugly. The next day, Cable's scouts show up at the smoke to gather everyone up, but then Parrish just straight up kills David's dad. Maybe it's the bad acting or the overall stupid plot, but like every single moment in this movie feels like I'm being dipped in lava. This kill again highlights the weird pacing and vibe this thing has. Up until this point, we haven't seen anyone die. So why is the first death in this movie so brutal? Tally also stupidly confesses that she's the reason for all of this, and then she just bolts, and no one chases her. So, as we move into the epic third act of this movie, Tally and David come up with a plan to save everyone. And their plan is something like this. Step 1 is for all the other ugly kids to write "The smoke lives in the sky." Step 2, break into the building and sneak past the guards. Step 3, save everyone. Pretty simple plan, honestly. Even though they're able to save almost everyone, they're a little too late to save Shay from the fate of becoming pretty. Am I crazy to say that she was prettier before this glamour filter was pasted over her? Well, it doesn't really matter, because Cable forces them into the pretty pods, the helicopter with the flamethrower does some more damage, and everyone escapes again. Parrish shows up again for a second before he fights David. Tally knocks him over the edge, and right after he finally remembers who she is, he dies. By the end, Tally volunteers to be the test subject by agreeing to get the pretty surgery and then take the cure to see if it works. I think movies like this are actually making me dumb, and I watch them a lot. I think it's absolutely hilarious that this movie is supposed to be about how people are ugly before this life-changing surgery, but like, everyone is Hollywood pretty in this, except Joey King. She's more Netflix pretty.
Got him!
At one point, David is just in the water shirtless. Like, you can't tell me this man isn't already pretty. Looks are a subjective thing anyway, so no matter what, this movie was doomed. The only thing the movie really does to try to make everyone ugly is for them to just not have makeup on. Tally is called Squint, and she calls Paris Nose, yet not once do we see her squint. And honestly, I couldn't even tell if his nose changed after the surgery. Kinda looks the same. And it's really weird that in this world, kids go to live at these dorms across the bridge while they wait for surgery. So where were they living before? Everyone says they've never seen inside the city, but their parents dropped them off. And after you get the surgery, you go to the city. Do kids not live with their parents who live in the city? Tally even mentions they've only been at the dorms for 4 years. So it literally makes no sense, unless parents give their babies up right away, but all the characters talk about how they knew their parents. So, you know what? I don't care. This movie is stupid, so fuck logic, I guess. I mean, the school they live at just teaches them the plot of the movie. We see a class about the Rusties from the past, we see a class about what surgery does, and we see a class about how everything started. Also, in any movie that has a post-apocalyptic setting, the before times are always fascinating to me. In Uglies, though, they sound really boring. The world used up all their resources, so they started fighting, which ruined the planet, and the big solution was to create a flower. And what that flower actually did was force everyone to live in cities. The thing we already have. But this time, everyone is pretty, so resources don't matter anymore? Like seriously, if the wars in the past were all about resources, how do we create these mega future cities and produce a surgery that morphs your body into your dream version? It's a little disappointing because the message of the movie is being an individual is better than being like everyone else, even when it comes to your looks. And that's a pretty good message. But Uglies is so stupid, the message doesn't stick the landing. The glamorous city looks more like a nightmare than a paradise, even if part of my brain was severed while living there. There are fireworks all night long. Everyone looks like they got too much Botox while trying to recreate a TikTok filter. No one seems to care about noisy neighbors since it's nonstop partying. And worst of all, I didn't see a single dog anywhere. And the fact that Tally got a taste of the city, realized something was a little off, yet it still took her way too long to realize that Cable was the real bad guy. I kinda hate that everyone just immediately moves past all the harm and destruction Tally caused like it was no biggie. When the movie ends, Shay is still stuck in pretty mode, David's dad is dead, the smoke is destroyed, and everyone else is on the run. Oh, and Paris died, but I don't really care about that. He was dumb. Ultimately, Tally made everything worse, and nothing was resolved. I actually don't really understand why everyone thinks Tally is some great person in this movie. At every turn, all she talks about is how she wants to be pretty, how everyone in the city is so happy, and when anyone tells her anything, she either just smiles at them or looks confused. By the end, she does nothing to make us like her. And what was that terrible plan at the end to save everyone? A flamethrower in a small room where you're trapped? The fact that everyone didn't become human torches is crazy, because the worst that happens is Cable gets a little scar, which I imagine the surgery can probably fix. When Shay and Tally first go to the ruins of the old city, Tally says their hoverboards won't work outside the grid. Shay responds by saying there are metals and minerals in the water, so it's fine, just stick to the water and we'll be good. Then, like 5 minutes later, Shay uses her hoverboard when she's not even over water. And while Tally is on her trip to the smoke, she uses her hoverboard on guess what? Not water. I don't think this movie remembers anything it's doing, because after something is established, it's changed or completely forgotten a couple scenes later. Or, my favorite thing that's so dumb, at the end, Tally tells David that she'll leave him a sign that she still wants the surgery. and the sign that she leaves him, the scar on her hand that we never see her tell him about or show him. God, Tally is such a stupid character, it's actually frustrating. And I know they thought they were going to get a sequel, but there is no way someone saw a cut of this movie and thought, oh yeah, we struck gold. Although Joey King defends the Kissing Booth movies, and that's a laughably dumb thing to defend. So who knows, maybe people do like this crap. At the end of the day, this is easily the worst movie I've covered in a while. It's painful like Space Jam 2. Also, should I cover the Twilight movies this year? Let me know in the comments. I've never finished that series, so why not lose some more brain cells while I'm here? With all of that, Uglies is a terrible movie that is getting crowned the current king of just plain garbage. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this, check out my video on the rapping genie Kazam. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what movie you'd like to see me cover in the future.